Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is a Heel Heat review of NXT Takeover Fatal 4-Way, or Takeover 2, however you want to go with it. Let's jump right into it. I actually had the opportunity to see the show live in person. Also, I've watched it back on the WWE Network. Thoroughly impressed, as I always am with NXT. So we're going to jump right into the matches. First off, pre-show. This is from the live portion. It wasn't on the show. We had Paige made a surprise appearance and wrestled Becky Lynch. It was a pretty good showing for Becky. She hung with Paige. Paige obviously won because she's a major star. But it's just a cool thing to give the fans, fans that have stuck with Paige for so long, let them see her before the show actually starts. Which we had the first match of the actual special. Sin Cara and Kalisto, now known as the Lucha Dragons, actually dethroned Ascension. Kind of a very surprising outcome. I wouldn't say it was super surprised. I almost expected this going in. I assume the Ascension is not too long from being a main roster talent. They did their thing on Main Event last week. They're being rumored to be parts of the shows coming up for the next little while. I would not be surprised to see them phasing out of NXT and phasing into the main roster. Sin Cara and Kalisto pick up a win, set up for a new era in the tag team division in NXT. Then we go on to our next match, which was set up during the pre-show. CJ Parker did a thing with Regal. Regal said, we're going to give you a match on the show, but we're not going to tell you who you're wrestling. And it was actually pretty cool how they did it. They brought up Baron Corbin, who on the show said it was his debut, even though he's been on NXT several times in losing fashion. They brought him out with no ring entrance. He started off in the ring. CJ Parker comes out. Boom. Less than a minute, Baron Corbin gets the win. So, debuting Baron Corbin, give him a squash win, an unexpected win, kind of almost like the 1-2-3 Kid way back in the day. I think is a way to introduce him as a major player going forward, which I believe you're going to need some of these guys to move into those roles with what I'm thinking is going to be an influx of the NXT talent going up to the main roster. Next up, we had the hair versus hair match. Sylvester LaFour versus Enzo Amore. Enzo has a charisma like nobody else on the NXT roster. At least no one that's officially debuted as of yet. And you'll see when the gentleman eventually debuts, under whatever name they give him. But Kevin Steen is going to blow everybody's charisma away because he's Kevin Steen. But anyway, I digress. Back to the match. Enzo picks up a win. A solid back and forth match. Afterwards, Sylvester LaFour tries to run away. Colin Cassidy stops him. Then Marcus Louis comes into it. LaFour gets away. They get Marcus Louis instead. Dump the potion that had been mixed to remove hair on him. We'll get into what happened a little bit later in the show, coming off of that. Next up, we had a thing that a lot of people across the world were looking forward to, and that's William Regal. And he introduced, for the first time on NXT, Kenta. Kenta came out, cut a promo, started off in English, did a little bit of Japanese, went back to English, let us know that from now on he's going to be known as Hideo Itami. I wish they would have let him keep Kenta, but this isn't a horrible name. I'm okay with it, I guess. It could, like I said, it could be worse. We had the Ascension come out, basically saying demanding a rematch, attacking, throw Kenta out of the ring, or Itami. Itami comes back in, clean shop on the Ascension, coming in basically saying, hey, I'm here, I'm a player, what you've heard about me is true, expect me to be one of the main guys going forward. Great way to debut him, great way to show his importance, a great way for him to come out and just be who he is, which is an awesome wrestler. Next up, we had a match between Bull Dempsey and Mojo Rawley. For the second match of the night, we had an under 1 minute squash match. Bull Dempsey just bulldozes Mojo. A little bit of a surprise in that end. Kind of feels like they may be pulling back on the push they were giving Mojo. Maybe Mojo needs a little bit more development, which I believe. The fans live were not into Mojo at all. Bull almost got face reaction just because he was Mojo's opponent, basically. But Bull picks up the win impressively, hits a diving headbutt in the match to win it, then hits one afterwards as the attacking dangerous heel. A good way to show off Bull Dempsey as a bulldozer. I enjoyed it. Again, was fun. It interjected a little bit something different. Brings us up to the next piece where Colin Cassidy and Enzo Amore catch up with Marcus Louis. Bring him back out to the ring with a towel over his head, take it off, and he has most of his hair missing except for little patches here and there. Looked ridiculous. Looked kind of like Gollum from Lord of the Rings or a troll. I mean, he looked ridiculous, which was supposed to be the outcome. How it should have been, it ended up being. Next up, we have my favorite women's wrestler, Bayley, versus Charlotte. In a really cool moment where she's coming down the ring, you see her hug a little girl named Izzy. Cool for me because Izzy and her family were in front of me in a line waiting to get into the show. I talked to the parents a little bit and even her a little bit. And the parents told me how Bayley's her favorite wrestler, how she's given Bayley headbands and Bayley's warm in the ring and Bayley gives them to her. That Bayley takes the time out to write this girl on Twitter, this little girl, she had to be maybe 5 at the most, 4 or 5, maybe 6. Just a really young, adorable little girl. And they tell me this amazing story how Bayley takes time out of her life. She messages the mother on Twitter with all kinds of messages to pass on to Izzy. The mother passes on the messages back. Little girl shows up wearing a pink shirt, says Bayley's my favorite wrestler, has her headband in that Bayley gave her. Bayley actually wore a headband that the girl gave to her to the ring. The reason I'm bringing all of this up is because just to show you how it's supposed to happen, how cool of a moment is it for a kid. She's going to go on and do whatever she does, become a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a policewoman, whatever she does, maybe even a professional wrestler. But she's always going to remember that her favorite wrestler became her friend. And it doesn't take much. For anybody out there that's actually a wrestler, independent, or even if you're in WWE and you happen to watch the show, it doesn't take that much to make the impact. Go out of your way. Send a text message every now and again. Talk to these people on Twitter. Talk to them on Facebook. You'd be surprised at the impact you can make in the life. And you can already see it in this little girl, how much of an impact Bayley had made in her life. And that's one of the reasons why Bayley is my favorite female wrestler. I've seen her several times at several shows, and every show I go to, there's 20 little kids or more, and Bayley takes time out to make it special for all the little kids. Now, you can blow me off. I'm a grown man. You blow me off, it doesn't affect me. I'm not going to go home and cry. I might not like you as much anymore, but the difference between blowing off a kid and saying hi to a kid or shaking their hand or hugging them or taking your picture with them makes all the difference in the world to the kid. So Bayley gets her, anyway, back on track. Sorry to sidetrack, just wanted to show how awesome Bayley is and how much I appreciate that she takes her time out to do stuff like that. Bayley wrestles Charlotte for the NXT Women's Championship in a very good match. Bayley's very competitive. Charlotte picks up the win. Bayley obviously won her respect after the match. Sasha Banks comes out, attacks Bayley. Charlotte actually comes and makes the save. So even though she didn't win, Bayley showed that she could hang with Charlotte, and that maybe someday she could take the title from Charlotte. Which is great, because I kind of hoped Bayley was going to win it here for all the reasons I mentioned before and 10 million reasons other. Last but not least, we had a match that even the crowd there was chanting Match of the Year candidate to. Adrian Neville defends the NXT Championship against Sami Zayn, Tyler Breeze, and Tyson Kidd in the match that's the namesake for the show, the Fatal 4-Way. Just an amazing match. The psychology they were working, Tyson Kidd doing his thing, Tyler Breeze trying to be the opportunist, Sami Zayn going absolutely nuts, Adrian Neville flying around the ring like really, like, it is not a misnomer when they say he's the man that gravity forgot, because he would do a moonsault and it felt like he'd be up in the air for 40 seconds just flipping. It looked so picture perfect and so crisp. At one point, he does an Asai moonsault out to the outside, and he gets so high on it that his feet almost connect with the, I don't know, it's not really a tromboner, but the overhead thing where it's got like NXT or whatever lighted up. Literally, they came about that far away from him. The guy is just so crisp and so accurate with his movements. The little part at the end where Sami Zayn's got the pin and he pulls out the referee. Just altogether great. He hits the red arrow. Neville picks up the win. In probably the best wrestling match I've attended live since WrestleMania 28. So, little over 2 years, the best wrestling match I've been to in person. Great match. The momentum kind of felt like it would have been the right time for Sami Zayn to get it. Not that I can argue with what happened. Just kind of felt like it was right for him at that time. But I digress. Outcome was great. All the matches were good. It was a fun show. It was great being there live. It was great to have that feeling rush over you, like that you're watching something special. And several of the matches gave me that. Hideo Itami's debut, Bayley versus Charlotte, Neville versus Zayn versus Breeze versus Kidd. You felt like you were part of something special. And that's the whole thing with NXT. The matches are so great that you get that feeling, that awesome feeling like this is special, this is different. Now, if you've seen our NXT reviews that we do here, normally what we do is a top 5 prospects. And that's based off of everything. For this one, I'm going to switch up the game a little bit. I'm going to do the top 5 most impressive wrestlers on this show. Number 5, Bayley, with the way she wrestled Charlotte, with what, like I said, her interaction with the kids has more than won me over. I think it's just a matter of time before Bayley is a major star. She has the charisma, she has the talent, she has the gimmick, she has the following. She just needs opportunity now. Number 4, formerly known as Kenta, Hideo Itami, came in, takes out the Ascension, which if you follow NXT, that's a big deal. Does an English and Japanese promo. I mean, just the charisma, the fact that people are chanting his name first night in, just everything about it. He's made to look special, and he continued the aura of being somebody special coming in. Number 3, Adrian Neville. The guy, I believe, probably him and Ricochet are the 2 greatest high flyers in professional wrestling right now. He defended the belt. He went over. He's absolutely crisp. The thing he was doing where they would knock him out for minutes at a time in the beginning of the match, I thought that was perfect. Great psychology. He worked it well. His timing was great on when he would try and re-enter and get eliminated again. Everything about it was good. Number 2, Charlotte and Bayley. Again, Charlotte proves match after match, show after show. She's a champion. She carries herself like a champion. She wrestles like a champion should. And she puts on the best effort when the lights are at their brightest. The sky is the limit for Charlotte. She can be potentially as big in the world of women's wrestling as her father is in the world of men's wrestling. And this is not hyperbole. This is how talented she is. She is such a great talent. It sticks out like a sore thumb. And Bayley is an awesome opponent. Don't get me wrong, I'm not discounting Bayley at all. But Charlotte could go in the ring with absolutely anybody and give greatness. And that's what her father could do. Now my number 1, you see me touch on it earlier, Sami Zayn. He had the crowd eating out the palm of his hands. He flew around the ring. He put on impressive maneuvers after impressive maneuvers. His ring psychology was great. Like I said earlier, it felt like it was time for Sami Zayn to get the belt at the show. And it just felt like they built the momentum for him. Now, they did it and switched to Neville, which is also great booking. You believe something all night and then it changes. Builds to something different later. But Sami Zayn, absolutely great. Absolutely to me, stole the show, in my opinion. And I'm a huge Sami Zayn fan. He went out there and he showed, if you weren't looking at me before this show as being the best wrestler, the top prospect in the ring in NXT, now you are. And if you've only heard about me and this is your first time seeing me, now you know why everybody's talking about me. But basically, that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been my review of NXT Takeover Fatal 4-Way.